All right, we're synced. Unique New York. Got to start with that, right? All right, let's get right into this. Okay, we got it here ready. Hey, everybody, welcome to Don't Worry, I'm Finite, the podcast. I'm back. I'm solo again today, and I want to have our first actual episode of the season. Everything else has been kind of a bonus or a teaser. But today on the podcast, I want to talk about what's been inspiring me, how I've changed my travel planning and itineraries, how that can maybe help you and help other people. I want to talk about traditions since it is the new year. Happy New Year, by the way. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about some of my favorite quotes, how I've been a little more introspective with myself and trying to lean into the positive qualities that I know I have and find tools to work around the flaws and the shortcomings that I know I have as well. I think both of those things are very important. So let's talk about both of those things. I am going to be posting this as a video. The plan is to release an audio podcast on Mondays and release this as a video podcast on Fridays. So, whichever type you prefer, check those out. The YouTube channel will be linked down below. Also, follow me on Instagram because that's where I post most of my updates. Both of those are Don't Worry, I'm Finite, of course. So check me out there. All the links are below. But for now, let's just talk about what I've been doing over the past few years and how I've learned some things that could help you. Let's get right into it. All right, everybody, welcome to Don't Worry, I'm Finite, the podcast, coming to you from the ever moving studio from beautiful, wintry South Jersey. That's New Jersey for all of you folks outside the US. And right outside of Philadelphia, I've been staying in this beautiful house, cat sitting these wonderful two cats, and kind of getting reacquainted with the area. It's been a long time since I've been in this area around the holidays, between living in South America and working on ships every holiday season for the past 6 years. There's no real mountains around here, so I struggle with the flat land hiking and walking. But I have been trying to run more. I've been doing some 10Ks, and I've been just trying to push my physical activity in whatever way I can without an uphill trail. But that's neither here nor there. Just wanted to give you a quick little update on what I've been up to. Happy New Year. It's 2025, and I think it's going to be a good year. But this podcast, I want to talk a little bit about 2024 and maybe even the years before that, kind of what I've learned about myself and what I've gleaned from the experiences that I've had over the past few years. Um, I've talked before about looking for inspiration, and I'm going to be dropping some quotes in this podcast. I am a big fan of quotes, so they do inspire me a little bit. I'm going to put them out there as just a jumping off point for the conversation. And one of the quotes I really like and I bring up often is a Chuck Close quote that's amateurs look for inspiration, the rest of us just show up and do the work. And I really like that quote because it does speak to how it feels to be creative and artistic for me, where if you wait for that moment of inspiration that you think is going to be out there, you're going to just get that spark, and then suddenly you're going to be able to be creative all of a sudden. You're going to be waiting for a long time, and in that time you're going to find ways to procrastinate and put it off and just say, well, it's not there yet. The idea of the blank page being this like really impenetrable fortress is kind of a misnomer, I think, because if you just start writing, if you just start doing, things will come to you in the moment. And I've found that that is very true in whatever discipline I'm in. If you just start working, write something. If you're a writer, just write something. Set a word limit, say I'm going to write for 30 minutes. Just make it stream of consciousness. That's the way I like to write anyway. So write, and then maybe it'll be bad, but just the act of writing unlocks something, and that you get into that flow state because you know what you're doing. You are a writer. You have these ideas. They're all in there. Like, just writing will let those things come out. I feel the same with photography. Just thinking of ideas is never enough for me. I have a hard time conceptualizing the idea ahead of time. And when I do, I always find that when I get to the shoot, I change anyway because, hey, maybe I see something else that surprised me. Maybe I see some light that really works well. Maybe the model that I'm working with does something that I go, oh, do more of that. I find that the act of doing is the inspiration, and getting out there to actually shoot and create and write or whatever you're working on, I think the act of taking yourself and putting yourself in a situation where you have to solve a problem is the best way to get your best creative self out and to kind of go through those blocks that are in your mind. So when you are out there shooting, whether you're sitting in front of your computer, writing, whatever it is, you unlock that ability that you already have in your mind, and everything starts coming out. Problem solving is one of my favorite things. I love to find a problem that I can find a solution to. I find that I'm at my best and most creative when I'm up against an obstacle, when I'm given a limitation. And I think finding those boxes to put yourself into is important for art and for creativity, because we have so many tools at our disposal. You can do everything and anything. And sometimes having the option to do anything is limiting, even in a more constrictive way than only having a certain amount of options. So, go out with only one camera lens and force yourself to shoot with that. Uh, you know, Give yourself only one thought or one word to write from as inspiration, whatever that version of limitation is for you. I think that could be a really useful tool for art and for creativity, because you are forced to work within the confines of such a small uh, set of tools that I think you have to be creative to use only those things. Whereas if you have everything at your disposal, you start getting overwhelmed with the possibilities. So simply give yourself limitations, and creativity will find you, or you'll find the creativity that's already within yourself. Um, that wasn't a planned tirade, by the way. Just kind of went off on a little bit of a tangent there, but I think it is part of the conversation that I wanted to have today. But one of the things I did want to talk about is what is inspiring me, since for me, inspiration often comes from other artists and not only just friends of mine. When I see friends that are creating things, when I see friends that are traveling and doing their passion, it inspires me and it makes me want to be out there doing those things. One of the people, not a friend of mine, somebody I follow on Instagram, his name is Alexander Campbell. He's doing a walk around the world. He's on day something like 550 of his walk around the world. Currently walking through India, and I think he's in the Himalayas now. But he's doing this open-ended trek. Whenever I see these people doing these like open-ended treks or long cycles or walks or hikes, or just traveling from place to place as the opportunity comes, that inspires me, or it has been inspiring me recently more than usual. Something that I would like to do. And to that point, another thing that's been inspiring me, which is a great feeling. Looking back at myself in 2024, it was a year of ups and downs. Had a lot of challenges, but I had a lot of great moments as well. And the things that I've done this year, I went to 5 continents. I spent a month in Patagonia, South America, and that was one of the most kind of life-changing experiences I ever had. Not only getting to a place that I've wanted to go for so long, but the experiences I had there and the challenges I faced were one of those things that made me go, oh, I can do this. I could do this for longer. How do I make this into a lifestyle, a business, something that's viable for longer? So those gears have been turning for the year. I also, traveled around Africa for the better part of 3 months, and that was eye-opening in a way that I didn't expect. Maybe you come with some preconceived notions of what Africa is like, uh, but going to so many different countries and cities in Africa made me kind of realize that my preconceptions about places are not correct, and I don't really know so many places in the world, and I don't know what they really are. Uh, I've been I've been feeling this way for a really long time, that travel unlocks something in everyone. Not only it opens our eyes to other cultures, but I think it also opens our eyes to the fact that everybody is kind of looking for the same thing. Everybody is having the same struggles. Everybody is trying to have a happy and peaceful life. And there are so many amazing people out there in the world. And I think our expectations of what these places might be like get bogged down in tiny little things we heard about them, or, you know, uh, media attention for the wrong reason. And when you go to these places, you just meet people and you see beautiful things. You see incredible art. You have amazing food. You have tastes and smells and senses that you've never experienced before. And you pull into these places that you were told is basically a third world country, and you think, this is not what I was told about this place. This is not what this was supposed to be like. I don't know if that makes sense, but it basically feels like you are opening your eyes to something, like you were only looking at the shadows on the cave. You never actually could turn around and see the actual light and the figures that were making those shadows. You're finally getting to see what the world is really like. And there's no way to do that without actually being there. And that brings me to another point, that being present and doing things live and in person, I think, is becoming more and more important to me, especially as social media and AI are kind of becoming more prevalent. I think being in a room with another person, being in front of a group of people and presenting, doing things like this where I'm talking directly to you, or in the coming episodes where I'll be talking directly to other people, and it's not just you talking to a screen and kind of putting your ideas out there without any feedback. I think it's going to be more and more important, and especially important for me, to be more in a cooperative space, in a collaborative space. I want to work directly with other people. I want to be around other people, and I want to do things that are tangible, and you know something is real. And I want to create those experiences for myself, but I want to offer those experiences to other people as well. Um, some other ideas I have rattling around to that end. I'll talk about those at another time. But I think it is more important. It's very important to me that those things start to become a priority. Um, but getting into my year of travel, I want to talk about how travel has changed for me. I've done a lot of different types of travel over the years, from traveling on my own, short term, long term, domestic and international travel. I've traveled by car. I've lived out of my car. I've spent days and weeks and months camping and spending most of my time hiking or running, biking, and just mostly being a dirtbag that just kind of lived on the road and did whatever outdoor activity I could manage that day. And that was great. It was a lot of fun. And then I started traveling for work, where I'd be, working on the weekend, flown out the day before, flown back the next day, or maybe the day after if I was lucky. But I was in these places for work, so I had to be there for that specific event. As a photographer, at these times, I was doing races. I was shooting Tough Mudders and Spartan races and things like that. And I would be, in the spot. I'd be there the night before, fly in. Sometimes I'd get there early enough, and then I'd have a race the next morning. Sometimes I'd have to run right to the airport after the race, but this kind of taught me efficiency in my travel, that I had to plan ahead. I had to look and see what was around. I was maybe only going to have a few hours the night before, maybe a few hours the next day to be able to see these places. It also taught me to stand up for myself in a way, or it taught me to ask where the company was, putting me up or flying me out. It taught me to ask, can we do a later flight? Can I fly in earlier that day? I can drop my stuff at the hotel and then have more time in the city, or the wherever I am, and get a little more time to enjoy that. So if I ask and they say no, I'm just in the same position that I was already in, so I haven't lost anything. But if they say yes, of course, sure, that's fine. That doesn't cost us any more, or maybe it even saves them money. They didn't think I would want to go earlier. So they say yes, I get more time when I arrive there. So I get these experiences. So just ask. You never know what they're going to say. Worst case, they say no, and you end up right where you were before. So stand up for yourself. Ask. And the other thing I was mentioning was planning. Planning for when you arrive. You don't want to show up where you're going and get to a hotel and then start doing research, because you're wasting time there. You can do your research ahead of time. You can do it at the airport. That's still a little last minute, but do it ahead of time. Look up some of your favorite places. I typically look up coffee shops, hikes, museums, walking paths, walking trails, best walking itineraries in the city if I'm in a city, easiest places to get to if I have a car, what's the public transit like. It really doesn't take that long to look these things up, but look up your favorite places. If you're a foodie, look up your favorite places to eat. Look up, vegan restaurants if you're into vegan restaurants. Look up breweries. I like to look up a good brewery, the best brewery in the area if I don't know one already. So I'll get a coffee in the morning. I'll get usually sit at the coffee shop, have a coffee and a pastry if I have the morning there, and then I'll get a coffee to go and wander around with it. And I'll take one of those walking tours, try to get to a museum. You get a cultural view of the place you're in, or you get a little bit of a look at the local art, and then that will inspire you to carry on. I really like just walking around the cities because you'll see so much art in so many places. There's murals, there's sculptures, there's architecture, there's so much to look at and see, and that's something I love. So finding those places to walk around is the thing that I try to prioritize. But when you only have a few hours, you have to be efficient with your time or be okay with missing some things. So I kind of pick the things I really want to do, and I usually tag them on my map. That way I know where I'm going first, and then I can look at my map later and I can say, oh, I happen to be right around the corner from this coffee shop or this restaurant. And I'll have done the legwork ahead of time, so I'm not wasting my time while I'm there, looking up Yelp reviews or looking up Google suggestions for places to go. So I think having that planned ahead of time has been something I've gotten a lot better at. And planning itineraries is something I want to offer as a service going forward as well. People often will message me and ask, what's your favorite place here? What's your favorite brewery in this city? Do you know anything about this place? What do you recommend seeing? And after having traveled the world for the better part of the last decade or more, I have a lot of suggestions, and I've kept good records and notes on these places, so I can go to my records and say, here are my favorite XYZ, and that is something that I think can be really useful from my experience. So I could be basically your virtual tour guide or your itinerary planner based on what you're interested in. So something I want to look into offering as a service. Let me know if that's something that you'd be interested in, and I would love to talk to you about it. But that's only one of the many things I want to work on this year. My resolution, for lack of a better term, is to create more than I consume in 2025. There's a great scene at the end of High Fidelity, a movie that I've loved for a very long time, even though my love of it has changed over the years. At the end of the movie, it's about this guy who works at a record shop, and he's a narcissist. He believes he's better than a lot of people because he has the best music taste. As he and his friends sit in a music shop and judge everybody who comes in, but he's never created anything. He's kind of stalled in life, and he owns this record shop. And he talks about music with his friends all the time, but he's never really done anything to put anything out in the world. And his girlfriend at the end helps him put on this show and start recording an EP for a small local group. And then he does a record release show for them. And she mentions the professional critic has become someone who puts something out in the world. So all he's been up until this point is a critic of other people's art. But now he is a person who has put something out into the world that others can consume and criticize themselves. And I think that's an important point in that movie, that we're all consumers. What are we giving back? What are we putting out there? What part of ourselves are we giving to the world and to our fans? We have fans. That's something to be mindful of, I think, as well. That we are our own harshest critics. We see the flaws in our own work, and we can't give in to those voices. We have to remember that we have fans. We're doing well. We're doing our best. We're putting ourselves out there, and the fans' voices need to rise up. Don't worry about the critics. Don't worry about the people who say you're not doing it. Why are you bothering? I know that's kind of a trope. I don't hear that. I don't hear anybody telling me don't do this. Honestly, the voices that I've heard from you and my friends have only been uplifting and positive. So thank you for that. But that's been my experience. I know not everybody has that, and I think the voice inside my head tells me you're not doing good enough. Why are you bothering? How are you going to rise above? But I think it's important to realize you have your audience. You have your fans. It doesn't matter how many of them there are. If you are doing it for the right reasons, more will come. And it doesn't matter what that number is. I'm not looking for a number. I'm only just trying to get my own creative ideas out there and be the best version of myself that I can be. And the feedback that I've gotten has always been good, and it's always been helpful. And the collaboration with other people has always just been more of a boon to my creative mind. So I want to keep working on that and keep on pushing in the positive direction, and hope that more of the voices in my head start turning to, you're doing a great job. So if you're watching this later, future Don, you're doing a great job. All right, let's talk about traditions. I made a video that will be out by the time you're listening to this. Check it out on YouTube. I talked about traditions. One of the traditions I have is going for a birthday run. I like to do long distance runs on my birthday just to remind myself that my body is still working, basically. That's the really boiled down version of it. But basically, I want to remind myself that I can still be active. I can still do things. The thing that I love to do the most is be outside, be active. And it's just a good reminder that on the day that you're technically clicking over to 1 year older, your body is still able to do the things you love. And I like to remind myself of that on a regular basis, but it's a good memory and a good tradition to have on my birthday. I have a lot of good memories of those runs or hikes or whatever they happen to be on my birthday. And then on New Year's Day, I like to go out and see the first sunrise of the year. I love sunrises because they kind of represent a new beginning, and they represent hope, and there's so much of the day left. In the day itself, you have the whole day left once the new sun rises. And then this is a good way for me to think, this is a new year. We're turning the page. There's a whole year ahead of us. We have so much more to do. We have so much more that we can do and that we can achieve. So it's kind of symbolic of that for me, something that I like to start the year with. And I have a lot of good memories of seeing those sunrises either on the beach. There was a very cold sunrise in Maine where I was taking these photos of a lighthouse. I love those photos also. I remember how cold it was, but it's a good memory to have looking back on here in a much warmer place, of course. But those kind of things can be really useful for us to have in our memory or have to look forward to, where we're clicking over to this new year. And I know a lot of the time we think it's a new year, new me. Everybody has like their New Year's resolution. Everybody starts thinking, I'm going to change this year. These are the things I want to change. I know it's a time of reflection. A lot of that has to do with being home with family too, and looking back and people asking what you've been up to. I think there are some caveats to get into with using January 1st or the new year as your jumping off point. Now, there's nothing wrong with it, but there's also no reason to wait until January 1st. I think that can also be detrimental in that if you set that time and then you don't start by that time, then you start thinking, well, I've started off the year badly. It's all just made up. It's just a calendar of numbers. You can start right now. You can start wherever. You're going to look back and wish you started now. Don't let those negative voices that I was talking about tell you you aren't starting good enough. You're not starting at the right time. Just start now, because you're going to wish in a month, in a year, that you had started now instead of putting it off to another indefinite date. And another one of those quotes I said I was going to mention is luck is where preparation meets opportunity. And I think that preparation is almost more important than starting off the implementation of whatever your ideas are, because if you're prepared for something, when you have that opportunity, for example, you have to be prepared for a photo shoot. You have to know how to use your camera. You have to know how to edit. You have to know how to light. You have to know how to pose people. If you have this great opportunity, say there's a celebrity or, somebody you really would love to have shot, you see somebody in this amazing wardrobe that you say, this would be an amazing photo. I can see it in my mind. If you don't have the tools, if you don't have the skills, and if you haven't taken the time to prepare and practice and learn, you're not going to be able to get that shot. You're going to snap it, and you're going to underexpose the shot. You're going to overexpose it. You're going to use too slow of a shutter speed, and it's going to be blurry. There's going to be so many things that can go wrong. The editing part, maybe you can learn on the back end. But if you want to shoot that photo, drop it into Photoshop, and then edit it to the way that you see in your mind, and you want to get that done quickly, you need to prepare for it. So start preparing now, imagining that this opportunity will come to you sooner than later. Because if you run into that opportunity, you never know who you're going to talk to, who's going to offer you this opportunity, and when you might just stumble into it. Luck is made by you. You make your own luck. We can be prepared for an opportunity, and then we'll go later, man, that was really lucky. But you did all the legwork to make sure that you could be lucky in the future. So do yourself in the future a favor and get ready for the thing you really want. So, for example, I've been editing a lot more video, and every time I edit, I want to make this certain shot. Maybe I don't know how to do a certain thing in the program when it comes to the speed ramping of video or color correcting, and I've learned a lot just by searching and watching videos and figuring out how to do those things. And now, next time it comes to make those videos, if I want to implement those things, I don't have to learn it again. I have the tools, I have the skills. And if you just do that in small bits along the way, piecemeal, it turns into this great skill set that you have. So you can be ready when the time comes. If somebody says, hey, I have this project I want you to edit, can you do it? You don't have to be scared and uncertain. You can say, yes, I've been planning for this. I've been working toward this. I'm ready. Let me have it. And then you get yourself into a situation where you get more and more opportunities from that, either whether it's a connection that you get through this person you worked for, or some skills you learned on that project, or you have this piece for your portfolio that you can show the next person and say, I did this. It's great, right? Yeah, hire me for something else. And then you get more and more opportunities. That's not luck. That's you putting in the work. And that's great. That's something that we can all do in small increments and work towards something much bigger. While I'm on quotes, I think it kind of fits into what I've been talking about. Is one of my favorites, which is the best time to do something was 20 years ago, 5 years ago, 1 year ago, 1 month ago. The best time to do it was then. The second best time to do it is now. You can't go back and do what you wish you had done, but you can start now, and yourself in the future will be happy that you started right now. That's something that I had to learn. I've learned a bit about myself as an ADHD person, and the whole completionist attitude or mindset is apparently very common in ADHD people. I don't know what to call us, but ADHDers, I definitely have a lot of the symptoms of that manifest in many ways, and that's one of those things where I think, well, if I'm going to watch a TV series, I have to watch it from beginning to end. If I want to read a book, I want to read the first in the series from till the end. That's the consumer side of things. The creation side of things, I feel that if I start doing things and I say I'm going to do it every day, if I say I'm going to post an Instagram reel every day, if I say I'm going to post a video every Monday, if I say I want to journal every day, for example, I get really thrown off track if I miss a day. If I miss posting one day, then I start thinking, well, the chain is broken, the streak is broken. I can't carry on because now it's not complete. How can I carry on with a daily post if I missed a day? And it's all in my head, it's just all in my mind. And it's something that plagues me in many different ways. But I'm learning more and more that I can be forgiving with myself, and my audience will be forgiving with me. And I think that's true for all of us. We're all going to stumble. We're all going to fail sometimes. And failure is important. And if you're afraid of failure, you're never going to succeed. Another quote that I'm keeping close to my mind because it's something that I have to accept and I'm okay with. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to start doing things. And that's just me. That's just human. That's just all of us. And I'm actually really excited to kind of be confronting these things about myself. And I want to bring those things into light a little bit more because I think a lot of us have those stumbling blocks and have those quote unquote flaws. And I think that can really be a way into a good conversation where we can all realize that we're all struggling in the same way. Let's talk about it and let's embrace it. Let's not run from it. So let's talk about that, okay? What else do we have here? So, along with my learning to be efficient in my travel, I've kind of gotten this compulsion to rush where I think I only have a few hours in port when I'm at work on a ship. I only, had a few hours here and there when I was traveling for work for the photography gigs. So I started getting really good at doing things quickly, and that was great for getting an overview of a city and for doing as much as I can with the 6 hours I had in a place or the 3 hours I had somewhere. But that has carried over in a way where now when I have a lot of time, I still feel that kind of urge to rush, or I start feeling like, well, I got to get through this and get to the next thing. But I mean, if I have 7 days in Budapest, I don't need to rush through the museum. I can take the whole day there. And one of the cruise and travel directors I worked with on my ship, his name is Ian. He said when we were in Morocco, he said, sometimes I like to just sit at a coffee shop and just watch the world go by, because you don't need to solve all the world's problems today. And it was a simple thought that he was just kind of conveying to me when he was talking about his favorite coffee shop in Morocco. But it spoke to me in a certain way, in that I don't need to have a plan to do 10 things today. Maybe it's more important to just do that one thing. Maybe go get a really good coffee, go get a Turkish coffee and sit there, sip on it, watch the sea, look at the buildings, look at the people, listen to the language. And that's what I did that day. And it was great. It was lovely, and I had a wonderful time. I do always leave with a little bit of FOMO of, well, there was that museum that I didn't see. There were the ruins I didn't get to go to. There was the mosque that I wanted to see, and I did see a lot of those places, to be fair. But I do always leave a place wishing that I could have seen a little bit more. But I've gotten better at being happy with what I did do. And to that point, I also want to talk about doing the best you can with your art, or my art in this case. Uh, the birthday tradition video that I shot, I didn't really feel happy with how I had presented it. It was more about me actually running than making a video about running. And that's okay. I enjoyed the run. I did an 11K run over the Ben Franklin Bridge into Philadelphia. I went to Old City, past Independence Hall, to the City Hall, and then back over to New Jersey. And I really enjoyed the run. It was a beautiful day. It was a good run. I felt good. I was glad I did it. I made that birthday tradition reality. And the video I made was fine, I think. I think the video that I shot was fine, but it wasn't really well thought out from a creative standpoint, from a visual standpoint. It was just documentary, basically. And I made the follow-up video to that, talking about that idea, that I wasn't happy with the quality of it, so I didn't want to put that out. And I think telling a story with images and making sure it's good enough is important. My motivation often comes from being that problem solver, to figure out how to get a good shot that shows the audience how I'm feeling, how the landscape looks, how it feels to be there, using scope and depth of field and colors and images that make you kind of feel the way that I felt when I was there. That is my goal, to transmit to you how it feels to sit on this mountaintop, to stand in this city, to feel in the middle of a crowd somewhere. However, I'm trying to convey that, I want to make sure that the images and the story does a little bit of something for you as well while you're watching it. And that keeps my interest flowing as well. It keeps me thinking, it keeps me busy while I'm making this project. It keeps me interested when I'm editing the project later. So if I'm always thinking, I'm looking around, it also makes me more alert and aware, and it makes me see things in a place that I might not have seen otherwise. I see things in images, and I've always kind of been this way. I kind of look at something and I see how it will look as an image, whether I see, okay, well, that will look really good with a telephoto compressed against this. So that motion, that the yellow of the train in Berlin crossing this river where everything else is kind of dull, really stands out to me. So I will look for the best shot and the best angles and the best framing. And then I go, okay, well, that really tells the story the way that I'm seeing it right now. Let me get this shot that way. And that keeps me really, really excited, and gets me motivated to do more, and finding a way to show the viewer how it feels to be in a place is just something that I love to do. And I think that's kind of the goal of photography, videography. If you're not able to be in this place, I want to tell you how it feels, and I want to make you feel that way. And I want to make you excited to go to this place or see this place, or maybe show the places that you go in a similar way. And that's something that I'm striving to do more of this year, especially with video. it will get easier as you do it more as well. You start to see things in a certain way, and you start to look for things in a certain way, and you know what to look for, and you know how to shoot it. And that's where the preparation comes in as well. If you're prepared for it, you have the tools for it, you're ready to do it. And that is that's basically the end of this. This sums up to kind of having to be a jack of all trades, but you also want to be a specialist in many of these things that you're working on, because you need to either be really good at one thing or really good at a lot of things. In today's world of creatives, where you have to shoot the video, edit the video, post it on 5 different social media sites, it becomes a lot. It really adds up. It adds to the anxiety of creativity and figuring out how to break out in a world where there is so much content, but also how to market yourself, and how to be your own marketing agent, how to be your own PR person, how to be your own editor, star of the show, and the photographer and the talent. It's a lot. That's all I'm saying. But it's important to be the specialist. Being everything is impossible. But if you find your specializations and you find your niche, and more importantly, part of this project is finding collaborators. And I want to find people who are the specialists, who are the best at what they do. I want to talk to them about how they got to where they are, and I want to talk about how we can help each other. I think one of the most important parts of the creative community is to help each other become the better versions of our own specialty, by being able to lean on the people who are better at the things that we're not as good at. I think one of the most important things about the creative community, and one of the best things about it, is that we can lean on each other when we need it. We can use each other's skills to help the other grow and be better, and we can create things together. Movies aren't made, nobody's filming, directing, editing, doing all of, no matter what indie filmmaker you look at, none of them are doing everything by themselves. So as a team, we make each other better. We lift each other up. I want to highlight my favorite people, my favorite creatives, and I want to collaborate with people and make my content better. I want to make their content better, and I want to make us a creative and happy community. And that's really all I'm planning to do here. So I hope that this helps you. I hope that some of this, kind of sinks in and maybe gives you something to think about, to ruminate on. And I hope that you are able to create the thing that you want to create. I hope I can help you with that. I hope you can help me with this. So to that end, give me some feedback. Let me know what you think. Please subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already. Go check out the YouTube channel. I'll put all the links in the description. And follow me over there on Instagram as well at Don't Worry, I'm Finite. And I will be back with some guests next time, I promise. So thank you for watching this. Thank you for listening to this. And make sure you tune in for the video version of this podcast on Fridays and more audio versions on Mondays. Thanks for being here with me, everybody. Go out there, be creative. Thanks for listening to Don't Worry, I'm Finite. I'll see you in the next one.